Hi, everybody. It is DocTalk. We're in November and we're coming up on Thanksgiving, a great time of the year and a time when all the weather is changing, getting prepared for the first of the snowstorms rolling across the country, which, by the way, is happening right now, as well as tropical storms that are rolling across the southern part of the country. And around this time is always tornado time in the South. So we have some things to be concerned about in terms of our preparedness. It looks like a lot of the West got some snow, which is just the greatest news in the world after the wildfire season, which also affects air purity and our ability for people to be able to breathe, et cetera, especially those that have been having wildfires in their area for so long. Believe it or not, in the Midwest, my departments here have been fighting wildland fires and brush fires. It's not the usual, but dry in the Midwest and windy conditions and any sparks coming off the farmers who are harvesting. It's an unbelievably dangerous time. All right, let's talk about dangerous times, this is the time of the year when ordinarily the respiratory bugs begin to spread. And we begin to think about a lot of family events and travel and all that. And we are clearly in the risk for that this year. So as promised, we knew when we came out of COVID that there would be other bugs that people would be spreading to each other. That includes respiratory bugs and GI bugs. So as we're thinking about Thanksgiving, good food preparation, be aware that the little old cruise ship virus, the norovirus, which causes 24 hours of misery with vomiting and diarrhea, actually was running through a house in our family this week, took people off their work schedules, the little kids throwing up and having diarrhea. It is just no fun. And that is another one of the viruses that's passing from person to person now. So start with COVID, as we always do. So COVID, moving into new variants that you're going to hear about. The new variants are infectious, but not as serious as the older variants. Nonetheless, in susceptible people do cause significant illness. And every once in a while, it takes out people who are healthy. What does that mean for you? Well, boosters have been now proven to be effective. So our new bivalent boosters, which have both the old strain that we began COVID with and the newer strains, which are all the Omicron variants, have now got enough experience over the period of the last few months for the researchers to say the bivalent booster is effective. It's in my arm, and I'm very happy, and I want to be protected, and I'm protecting myself from serious illness now and from long COVID, which for people in my age, very honestly, is a very significant illness and has repercussions for your health for a long time coming. So it is a good time to get the COVID bivalent booster. Second is the flu. Flu prevalent in the communities. Influenza A, predominant strain in the United States. H3N2, H1N1, both components of the flu shot this year. Both were the types of influenza that went through the Southern Hemisphere before coming to visit us in the Northern Hemisphere, as they do this time of the year. Getting your flu shot, and you can get it at the same time in the other arm or a day apart, et cetera. Not usually a good idea to get both vaccinations in the same arm at the same time. And all of you that have been through the armed services and gotten your vaccination know that as well. So a flu vaccine this year, very honestly, before Thanksgiving is a great idea, but certainly in December and before the major holidays is a great thing. Number 3 big issue right now is pediatric bronchiolitis, pediatric respiratory illness, particularly affecting the younger ones more than the older ones. Nonetheless, all the kids get sick. And they have been getting sick in a way that has frankly overwhelmed a lot of the children's hospitals in the country. So each day, the media presentations are really a reflection of the different hospitals. There's been a little difference in how this has hit various parts of the country, but not very different. And so we have a lot of children who were ill with respiratory illnesses, many of them very sick and in ICUs, and unfortunately some on ventilators and some that have died. There is at this point no vaccination for the worst of these respiratory bugs, which is called RSV, but we're working on that. And keeping your kids home when they're sick, keeping them out of daycare, out of school, a really big recommendation at this time of the year. The treatment for RSV is to wait for the little bodies to clear themselves and give them supportive care. So for moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, aunts and uncles listening to this, the children who have the green snotty noses and the cough, 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 and maybe a little bit of crouping at nighttime, but not so bad. You take them out into the night air, because what croup does not like is cold, moist air. And so you take them outside, the child quits crouping, you bring them back in, tuck them in, and oftentimes they will sleep for a while at least. And so that really is a part of good care now. Talk to your pediatrician if you need to. Most of those kids do not need to go to the hospital. The worst of the kids and the real little ones that get those coughs and they get worn out, those are the children that we need to admit. And then children that have underlying illnesses that leave them at risk are the ones worst at risk for bronchiolitis, croup, respiratory infections that are going around the kids right now. GI stuff. What do you do to prevent the GI? Don't go to work sick. If you've got diarrhea, don't go to work. Clean your hands really well all the time. If you've got the pukes, stay at home for at least 24 hours. Don't be sharing that with other people. It's kind of an airborne illness. You have got to be careful in your preparation of foods. And that's a usual Thanksgiving learning lesson anyway. But right now, in Saturdays football, Sundays tailgating, clean your hands when you're preparing food. Don't stick your hands in other people's food. Don't be mushing around in the all of the food at the parties, etc. Be careful of foods that are known to spread diseases, and dealing with turkeys and other raw meats. Make sure you use all the usual precautions there. So we're heading into Thanksgiving. DocTalk's been going now, thanks to Brittany and the staff at NDRI, IFF, IFC, and the other supporting agencies. Very thankful we have the opportunity to talk these things through with you every couple of weeks. You give a lot of good feedback, which produces better educational messages going out. It is time to be thankful. It is time to be thankful that we have made it through the worst of COVID, it appears, and that's really great news. We have to get the cycle through where we get the other illnesses that we've been missing for these last 2 years. We'll get through this winter. Next spring, I think we should be in fabulous shape, and that's what we all should be thankful for and hopeful for. And my wish as we head into the holidays, we have as least illness as is possible. That will help if you get your vaccinations and don't get sick yourself. So DocTalk for another week coming up on Thanksgiving. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you in December. Thank you all.